Nick, I feel like you need like shell shock, some sort of medic team here with you on set because it was ugly last night. The Suns-Warriors game had Golden State already down by 29 points. The Warriors were down 29 to the Suns. And then this happened. Aaron Baines landing on Steph Curry. Curry, as we now know, has a broken left hand. The Warriors still determining if he needs surgery, what his recovery timetable will be after the results of a CAT scan came back. Aaron Baines, by the way, very much after the game talking about how this was an accident. And apologetic. Yeah. And it certainly looked like it. It didn't look like anything dirty, just a bad break. Nick, first of all, how shook was everyone after that game, and what do you think they will be doing next? Because tanking is now on the table. Completely shell-shocked, Rach. It was like being in that locker room a couple months ago in Toronto when Kevin Durant tore his Achilles in Game 5. Guys looking up at the walls like, I can't believe this is happening. Staffers walking around Chase Center just completely in shock of what they had just seen. Now, as far as the tanking question goes, the Warriors are never going to fully embrace the tank. How do I know this? Because the Warriors owner is Joe Lacob, and that is a very proud man. He does not believe in just giving up on anything. Last night, I was standing in the Warriors locker room. I walked up with Joe. We started talking about Steph. He said, I feel very bad. I'm sad about it, but I think it's a good opportunity for the young players to find their own rhythm and grow. And then I said, Joe, obviously, you understand now there's going to be speculation about you guys tanking. And how does that, and I couldn't even finish the question, and he looks at me and he goes, what did you say? And I said, well, you understand there's going to be questions about tanking in the future. He said, what word did you use? And I said, tanking. And
they're not allowed to use that word.
Well, exactly, but I couldn't tell if he was kind of just playing with me or if he was dead serious. Rach, he was very serious. He said, I'm not even going to discuss that, and he walked away. And he walked out of the building. But there's a difference. I mean, I always think it's interesting when we talk about tanking. Sometimes we overuse the word because sometimes the teams are not very good. And there are times where obviously where you don't play your best lineups and you don't necessarily make the most active moves during the season. We definitely had, one of our producers brought up, Michael Bodmer brought up the idea that this could be a Spurs situation, right? Where David Robinson gets hurt and they get a low draft pick and end up drafting Tim Duncan, right? So maybe this happens to a loaded Warriors team that has Steph and Klay coming back next year from injuries. That could happen. I don't know, Richard, what do you think is going to happen with this team? Because you have been active talking about them. You tweeted at Draymond last week.
Yeah.
And then he answered you back in game comments.
See, the funny thing is when I tweeted at Draymond look, I played with Draymond. I know the type of leader he is, and I was disappointed from playing against him and playing with him that he would be so somber on the wall after 2 games. And he was somber. He was just like, well, I guess only Tim Duncan's been through this. And it's like, dude, it's 2 games. You guys are fine. Keep that same energy that you had. Mm-hmm. Lo and behold, it took 1 win, and his energy was back. His energy was back, calling out former players, saying that we were overreacting. Well, I thought he was overreacting after those 2 games. And so most of it is from the respect that I have for him. They are going to tank. They are going to tank because they are not very good, not because they are intentionally doing it. They had their entire roster and they weren't very good. So you take away the 2-time MVP, and look, this is what I say. It's like hearing you talk about a rebuild after 2 bad games is an overreaction, right? And that's and I'm tagging him because I'm not hiding from him.
But are they going to be more in a rebuilding year now?
Oh, the rebuilding year started once that first ball was tossed up. And now we're in a space where it's like, okay, there's heat off him, but there's going to be a lot of focus on Draymond now, right? There's going to be a lot of focus on the type of leader he is. How is he going to play? How is he going to perform, especially without multiple Hall of Famers around him? I completely agree with Richard, and I'd add this. If you're Joe Lacob, you can't come out and say, we're going to tank. That's not going to make the league office happy. But the Warriors understood, especially Steph and Draymond looking out on the floor, they're not a good team. The roster is what it is in large part because they're hard capped. They had to make the decision to sign D'Angelo Russell to a max deal. These players are very young, a lot of them. They don't know where to be on the floor. In the back half of that roster, they haven't proven themselves. There are a lot of G League guys right now playing. So you can call it whatever you want. He doesn't want to call it tanking. The roster isn't good enough to go and make some push and make the playoffs. So you're going to be very, very cautious about Steph. And I think the key for me in this is
Klay Thompson.
I was going to say, now
He's
it's
done.
hard to see
Clay's
Klay
done.
Thompson
Exactly.
coming back this
Take
season.
off all 82.
And look, the way the new lottery system works, teams don't have to go to extreme measures to have good lottery odds, right? You have the bottom three all have the same lottery odds. Other teams, as you saw with the Pelicans, still have decent lottery odds and can get that top pick. So I think we'll see them beat the bad team that we expect because they're just devastated by these injuries. And then we will see them possibly make a Spurs-like run after that. Who knows?
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports analysis and highlights, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.